performances early, because I gotta say, Micah Parsons was in on an awful lot of plays early on, and Micah Parsons with the tackle, like I was like, oh, okay, he came to play, he came to show people he's serious about this.
And you heard him allude to it a little bit about the synergy, about him getting his fumble recovery, and that's what he got in his first game at Ohio State. And what you like is the movement, the athleticism, the suddenness, to make the decision. I think that's what Dan Quinn has done. He's put them up in a position to play fast, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see last year underneath Mike Nolan's defense. It was a lot of checks, and that's more of a defense for a team that has a lot of veteran players. When you have a young team, you want them to play fast and take a lot of the thinking out.
Well, everybody is in preseason mode, including Mike McCarthy, who talked after the game about his team. Obviously, we were paying a lot of attention to that defense. Here's what Mike McCarthy had to say after his team fell to the Steelers 16-3. But who really cares? It's preseason football.
Performance-wise, like I said, I was really focusing on the operation and the function. I thought Rico had the big run. I thought Danucci made some throws off his back foot that were, unique. Frankly, it's a long plane flight home. I'm looking forward to watching the tape. I think there's going to be a lot of good come out of this game.
Come on, man, really? Can we ask him? Where's the follow-up? Can we follow up and say, well, what was exactly unique
Well,
about
he threw off his back foot. I know that they never want them doing that. And you saw the side arm that Danucci threw as well. So maybe that's what he meant. The back foot side arm. We're going to start calling that the Danucci.
Right.
Look, Danucci's not going to see any snaps in the regular season if the Cowboys have their way.
Well, you hope.
But we mentioned Micah Parsons as well, and he, like you said, had the symmetry of the fumble recovery in yesterday's game and the fumble recovery in his first game in college. Let's hear from Micah Parsons, who was a star in the first preseason game of the year.
To be able to step out here came a long way from 2019 when I played my last game. And, it's just a true blessing and honor to wear the uniform, represent the Cowboys, and represent my family and come out here and be able to get back into a football rhythm, you know what I mean? So it's been pretty good. I actually had a fumble recovery my first game in college, so I like the trend that is going on right now.
One of the other lines that I loved, and we mentioned that Big Ben was on the sideline out there, was Big Ben talking about Najee Harris, one of the other guys we were keeping our eye on, who performed pretty well for his squad. Big Ben was talking to Aaron Andrews on the sideline, and he said, we're not going to see too many great things from Najee. And his point was, we're keeping him under wraps. Like, you're not going to see all the things that this young guy can do. And I think that should be exciting for fans of the Steelers, that this guy, as I said yesterday, could be the face of this franchise eventually. Now, Big Ben still holds that title as long as he's under center, but you know that it's inevitable that he's going to be moving on soon. And I see Najee Harris as being the guy. Kids are going to be buying his jersey. He's going to be the guy in the Steel City.
Well, you think about, identifiable positions for the Steelers. Center is one that historically has been a famous, type of position. You think about wide receiver, what they've gone from, whether you want to talk about, Plexico Burress, you want to talk about Santonio Holmes, you want to talk about Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and running back, right? They always identify with a running back. And, they rarely are a running back by committee. I know that's how football usually goes now. But you think about the bus, you think about Franco Harris, you think about Willie Parker, and now you can say Najee Harris, right? So, they automatically represent the toughness that Pittsburgh is always about. Najee Harris is the next one up in line. Let's see if he can live up to the expectations.
Okay, so that was the preseason game. And again, you could take things from it if you want. You don't have to take things from it. It's just the first game out of the gate. It's always going to be a little sloppy, a lot of 3-and-outs, a bunch of turnovers, not exactly the best football. But there was some news before the game because, of course, this was the Hall of Fame game, and that means, of course, you have the enshrinements this weekend for the 2020 class and the 2021 class. And one of the big stories, of course, was when Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson were sitting on the Fox set, and they pressed Jerry just a little bit about the feud that those two have had going years and years, decades even back. And Jimmy Johnson has been kept out of the Ring of Honor, and that's been a big story because he obviously has been so instrumental to the Cowboys' story, to the Cowboys' success back in the 90s. But Jerry Jones broke a little bit of news last night saying it's going to happen. Take a listen.
We are going to certainly be recognizing what's happening here with the Hall of Fame. But Tex Schramm, who started that Ring of Honor, said, Jerry, keep it kind of limited with people, but make sure it wasn't just about the plays they made. Make sure they contributed to the story of the franchise. Now, it's kind of hard to not recognize this contribution to the story of the franchise.
No doubt. So are we making an announcement here?
Well, we can be. If we can, I don't know how we're going to upstage.
No, yeah, you can.
Go ahead,
We'll
make the
deal with
announcement.
that, but we'll be in the Ring of Honor.
There we go. All right. Love it.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
And we'll be there.
first.
While I'm alive.
That's great. I mean, that's great. That was a great moment. And then, of course, him going, while I'm alive. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
No,
I
what,
mean,
what are you rolling your eyes
Yo,
about?
And in the word, everything you've done to me, I was gonna do to you. Ain't no good gonna come around you, Harpo. Come on, man. Like, stop it. Like, this is Jerry Jones, self-serving, right?
Really?
This is the most self-serving thing ever. Because listen, this guy should have been in the ring of honor.
Oh, no question.
He should have
No question at all.
You know, like, for what he's done, and this is Jerry Jones trying to right his wrongs. What is it? Not Shallow Hell. It was that series where the dude had to go fix everything he had ever done with somebody. The whole show was about that.
Okay.
And like, this is what Jerry Jones is trying to do. This is more about Jerry Jones trying to lift up Jerry Jones, right? This is all before I'm alive. You know, he's trying to right all his wrongs, but the thing is, you're waiting to the end to right your wrongs. You knew you was wrong a long time ago. You know you was wrong when you couldn't put your ego aside and trying to determine who was more responsible for the mini dynasty that they had.
Okay, I didn't look at it that cynically. I did look again. Look, I agree with you. Ego was the
Like,
big
all of a-
reason.
all of a
Ego
sudden-
was the reason that
Yeah.
these two could not get along.
All of a sudden, on a big stage, when it's about Jimmy Johnson this week, he wants to make it about what Jerry Jones is doing.
Oh, see, I kind of looked at it as the cherry on top of the sundae, man. It's a big weekend for Jimmy, obviously
You don't
going
know.
into
You
the Hall
haven't
of
been
Fame.
around a lot of narcissists before.
No, I definitely have been around the narcissists. And I know, again, that ego played a huge role in this whole thing. But a couple weeks ago, Jerry Jones did shoulder all of the blame for the feud starting in the 1990s. And to me, this is with age comes wisdom. You know, you get a little longer.
He's
in the
been
tooth.
old for a long time.
That's
What you
a
mean when
very-
age comes with
that-
Jerry
you know
Jones been old
that
for a
is
while.
Very good point, but he is older today than he was yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. And I think he's gotten to a point where he realizes that the actions of his youth didn't serve him well. And it didn't serve the Cowboys either, really. And that should be his number one priority. Like, he let his ego get who's more responsible for the championships. This goes back to what I've always said about cutting the pie. Why are we cutting the pie?
Yeah.
Trying to tell me, tell me how much Aikman was responsible for those championships. Tell me how much Jerry Jones was responsible for those championships.
But how long have we been having this same discussion? We had this discussion last year, the year before. All of a sudden, he's going in the Hall of Fame, and you can't deny him being in the Hall of Fame and not being in your Ring of Honor.
Oh, absolutely.
And now you got to try and make it right. But it's all about self-serving yourself. It ain't about doing what's right, because it was right last year, the year before, and the year before.
It's never too late, though, to do the right thing. So, again, maybe I'm giving him more credit than you would like me to give him.
Yes. Because have you ever had somebody like that did you wrong, and when they see you, they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Like ain't nothing happened.
Yeah. You're
Hold
like,
up, bro.
"Get outta
We ain't
here,
even had a
bitch."
conversation about this yet,
Absolutely.
but the camera's on now. It's all love.
But this again goes back to the Aaron Rodgers conversation that I've been covering since draft day, where, okay, so eventually the Packers come